So let's talk about ADHD. It's a term you've probably heard a lot, right? But it's so often misunderstood. The thing is, it's not just about being distracted or having a hard time sitting still. The reality is way more complex, and it touches everything from your focus and your memory to your motivation. In this explainer, we're going to look past all those stereotypes to get a much clearer picture, whether you're living with it yourself or you just want to understand it a little better. Okay, so where do we start? Let's dive right into that classic clash between the well-meaning advice people give and the actual lived reality of having ADHD. This is where so much of the frustration really kicks in. And wow, this quote from a Reddit user just absolutely nails it. It's not that someone with ADHD doesn't want to be organized. Of course they do. But the very tool that's supposed to help, the planner, well, it can just become another thing to forget, another task lost in the shuffle. And this right here perfectly illustrates that disconnect. The advice, just use a planner, it assumes the problem is a lack of tools. But for so many people with ADHD, the reality is more about what you might call object permanence. If that planner is out of sight, it is completely out of mind. And that leads to, a whole collection of brand new, totally forgotten planners. So here's the crucial point. This isn't about laziness. It's not about not trying hard enough. What's really going on is often this huge internal battle, a fight against what feels like a thick wall of brain fog and anxiety. It can make a seemingly simple task feel absolutely monumental.
All right, so if it's not laziness, what is going on? What's the why behind this whole struggle? Well, it all comes down to a set of mental skills that neuroscientists call executive functions.
So what are executive functions? You can basically think of them as the CEO of your brain. They're the management team, right? They're all the processes that let you plan, organize, and actually do the things you need to do to reach a goal. Everything from making breakfast to finishing a huge project for work. An even better way to think about it comes from Attitude magazine. They call them your brain's GPS system. And that is such a perfect analogy. It's that internal navigation that's supposed to guide your actions, keep you on the right path, and, let you know when you've taken a wrong turn.
And here's the thing. It's not just one skill. It's a whole suite of abilities working together. A leading researcher, Dr. Russell Barkley, breaks this whole self-regulation thing down into a sequence of mental actions. It's this complex internal dance that involves everything from hitting the brakes with self-restraint to talking to yourself to managing your emotions and solving problems on the fly.
Okay, so if that's the system, what happens when that internal GPS gets a little, glitchy? What happens when it's inconsistent, which, let's be honest, is a core part of the ADHD experience? Let me ask you this. Have you ever just frozen? You're staring at a task, you know exactly what you need to do, you even want to do it, but you feel stuck, like you're physically unable to get started. It's a very real and very frustrating feeling.
Yeah, there's a name for that, ADHD paralysis. And it's really important to know this isn't the same thing as just procrastinating. It's a state of being so completely overwhelmed that your brain's executive system just shorts out. It freezes up, unable to pick a path forward and actually get moving.
So what do these glitches in the GPS look like in real life? Well, there are a few big ones. Your working memory might fail. That's why you walk into a room and have absolutely no idea what you came in for. Poor self-monitoring means you might not even realize you've drifted off task. Then there's weak impulse control, which makes it super hard to resist distractions. And something called time blindness, which makes it incredibly difficult to actually feel the passage of time. So understanding all these glitches is actually the key because it helps us figure out strategies that actually work, strategies that are designed specifically to compensate for this internal system. And this brings us to this really powerful idea from Dr. Barkley. The key principle is this. If those internal cues from your brain's GPS are unreliable, you can't just try harder to hear them. It doesn't work that way. The solution is to make those cues physical, to make them external, to basically build a support system outside of your own head.
And that's why these things work. Visible calendars, loud timers, mind maps you can actually see, they aren't just little organizational hacks. They are externalized executive functions. They act like your brain's co-pilot, giving you the physical reminders that your internal GPS might miss. Even something called body doubling, just working quietly alongside someone else, can provide that external prompt you need to stay on task.
But
And this is a big but, it's rarely as simple as finding just one magic trick. As our Reddit user points out, compensating effectively often means building an entire system of supports. It's a multi-layered process of trial and error, and yeah, sometimes it's still imperfect. It's about finding what combination works for you.
So, when you put all of this together, it really leads to a whole new way of looking at ADHD, a totally new lens. And this might be the most important takeaway of all. Here's the bottom line. ADHD is not a moral failing. It's not a lack of willpower, and it is not a character flaw. It's a neurodevelopmental challenge with the brain's self-regulation system. And just understanding that one fact changes the entire conversation. It shifts it away from blame and towards support, away from just try harder and towards let's build better external scaffolding. Which leaves us with one final question to really think about. If the issue isn't a failure to pay attention, but a struggle to direct and regulate that attention, how does that change everything about how we support ourselves and how we support others? And hey, if you do want to dive deeper into all this, we've gathered some trusted resources and references from this explainer just for you. You can check those out to learn more. And hey, if you found this explainer helpful and you're interested in more deep dives like this, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It really does help us keep making these for you.